CrowdStrike, cybersecurity name. So, this name has the 30% short float. So what we look for out of these names is when I want to see it break out, I want to see an influx of volume. I want to see far side confirmation, which means, so we're looking to buy this 60 area. I want to see huge volume above 60 as the stock just rages. That's what I'm looking for in these short squeeze. So this is kind of where my job becomes tough, being a day trader in this environment. So we can all see this 60 resistance level. And I'm in this trade yesterday. I'm just straight tape reading it. So I'm going to get my little dots up here. All right, so we got that price point. That's $60 that we wanted to see. So off the open yesterday, we see this 60 be huge resistance. And I'm seeing this seller on the tape. He's sitting there refreshing off on the offer, sitting there refreshing stock at $60. Then he's letting the stock go a bit. He's refreshing at 60.20, 60.30, and he's stopping it at 60.40. And it's not going much higher than 60.40. And if you look at the broad range, the top of it was really 60.50. So we see 60.50 finally break after all morning, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm sitting there buying the shit out of this flag. I end up buying like 4,000 shares with like a 30, 40, 50 cent stop. Something where it's like, I need to see this thing go right now or I got to get the fuck out because I don't want to give this the entire day's range. But if it goes, I'm going to get so fucking paid. So this is where my job becomes tough. It breaks at 60.50 and I'm trying to call out all the tape reading and all that stuff like, oh, seller lifted. Past 60.50 should be go time. Doesn't go. So I give it a few huffs. I give it 5 minutes. Where normally, this was my actual one mistake in the trade personally. I should have, once that 60.50 broke and came right back, that's when I should have just marketed out of all my stock. You could see I waited like 5, maybe 7 minutes after, and I got out a lot of stock, break even. I lost like $600, but I had 4,000 shares. So it's like, in a name that goes up and down $4 a day. So I take that as a break even loss. But so I let it huff a bit. I gave it a minute to go after that 60.50. Once it doesn't go in that moment, I'm going to give up on it. I'm going to let it go. I don't want to give it to the bottom, the low of day, the 58.50. That would have been over $2 risk, something like that. But that's just something, we learned back in the day at the prop firm, the day trading stuff, where it's like, I can't teach that. So it's so tough on me in the chat because I got out and later in the day, it went higher than what I got out at. It just eventually failed. So like I know that when I'm getting out of this stock that it could still go without me, but it didn't go in the time frame that I needed it to. I needed to see those buyers beat that seller up right there, and I needed to see it break out then, like that in that moment. Since it didn't do that, I got right out because I don't want to give the 4,000 shares $2. It would be an $8,000 loss. I got out for $600, So that's where my job gets tough, where it's like I'm not sure what should I tell everyone I'm getting out of this name because I didn't see the seller lift quick enough, but the name is still technically fine. So that's a little tricky on my end. But what I was looking for this crowd was the short squeeze where it breaks the 60.50 and just starts absolutely raging. But we didn't get that, so I got out. My good trade this week was this GO, and I love this trade setup. This was one, I was telling you about this one. I made this trade of the week early March when the markets first started selling off. We see on the daily this really nice base here at 36, and what they do, they're a discount grocery store. So if a company like overproduces, Campbell Soup overproduces their soup, they're going to sell it to GO for really cheap, and GO sells, they're like a budget Costco. So during a time like this with the pandemic, this just makes total sense to me. Now that I have the chart coming with me, the technical aspect, that's like an A+ setup for this time. So I put on some risk for this name. So I bought this 35.50, the daily flag first. Here's where I got 4,000. Then we see the 6,000. I mean the 36 resistance. That's where I got up to 6,000 shares. That was the macro resistance. We had this refreshing seller on the offer. It was a thing of beauty once he broke. I sold some 37 quarter, and we got a nice movement to 38.50 today. And I'm just holding this stock now. Now I got a great trade on my hands. This is the first name I've swung in since this whole thing started. So it looks decent. It's not really as connected to the indices as most other names are. So I like it a lot. But we'll see. First name I've swung in a while. A little nervous. What do you got? What are you trading?
So I got two. If you want to pull up IDXX first, we'll go over that one.
Got it.
All right. So again, for a lot of new traders and even experienced traders, yeah, people will get trapped when you're holding names, especially when no one sees it's coming. So I think these two are kind of good relative examples of being stuck through this market pullback. So we can see in this IDXX, we can see I drew the horizontal line to 290. That was the macro level that we were keeping an eye on to buy this name eventually up through it. Before we had this crazy correction, I was looking to buy inverse 260. I was too early. Gap down, came back up again, and I looked to add. Now that's the beginning of the trade. In that range at 240, 240 to 290 range was the range that the stock has always traded in before we walked into the bear market that everyone's aware of now. So I got trapped in this name where I didn't really have a stop in, and I got stuck sitting through this massive drop, this 35% drop. Now, for most people, if it's the first time kind of going through this, they're not used to holding names through these bigger pullbacks, they'll try to panic out and just blow the market out. I've seen this before a couple times. I knew it's a $300 name. It's not going to go to zero. It's not going to go to $50. Like I have to just kind of sit with it and be patient. It bottomed out, and it V-bottomed, right back to basically my cost basis in the last couple of days. And once I saw today, this thing gap up into 260. Seeing how extended this name came in this last couple of weeks, up almost $90 off lows. This was like a perfect gift for me to get out of a name that I was trapped in for basically break even or a little bit of a loss. I'm not really sure whether if I made money or not between my cost basis, but
you didn't lose 35% though.
Did not lose 35%. Did not make money. So this is a difficult part where it's I can't expect to make 5-1 on 35% risk, but this is one where I was given the opportunity to get out of this name and move on, and that was the gift. So it was a bad trade, but I didn't necessarily lose money in it. But I didn't take advantage of trying to dollar cost average on the way back up. So that was the bigger mistake, other than obviously having to do that drop. So that's one where you can get beat up in a name, but if you can be patient with it and let it turn, and it gives you that opportunity to get out, you can. And then this PFPT, again, similar story. And Shake, just let me know when you have it up.
Got it up.
All right. So again, very similar story from the chart. This PFPT, we see this macro level through 130 that we were looking to buy through. The name got pulled back down into support, and I looked to buy back up through 110, which was that first green circle. Again, same story. Got trapped in this bear market that we didn't really see coming as far as it did. But the one good thing was after that gap down, and it gapped down again and ripped up higher, I was willing to buy up through that gap up high versus the low. So for this, for IDXX, I didn't take advantage of the lower prices, because again, we try to avoid dollar cost averaging on the way down because it can be very difficult. We try to dollar cost average on the way up. But this one I did take advantage of that, of picking up a little bit better stock. It ran into that 112 very quickly and just started to chop around. And again, today we saw this crazy 3-day move back into that resistance again. And this name is just going to take some time, where 2 days ago it was below 100. Today it's at 100, 112, 113, and I can get out of this stock that I got too early for basically break even, and then make 13, 14% on that ad. These were especially given where the market was, this was like a big flashing sign where go through all the names that I'm kind of stuck in, and the ones that I can get out of and free up some cash. That's what I want to do. So if these names pull back down, I can get back in. If not, I can move on to other names. So that was the big thing for me, was some of these names that I've been in for a bit through this drop. Today was a good chance for me to get out of some of these names that I didn't care about. I don't really care about Proofpoint. I don't care about IDXX. These were just trades. These weren't names that I really cared about holding. So I was able to get out of some for break even or a little bit of money made versus panicking out into those lows. So those are the main lessons for me for this past week.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any names you do care about?
So right now, today, no. But again, the names like American Express, UTX, a lot of the Dow 30 names have been my big focus. But again, when American Express was at $70 3 days ago, and now it's at 100, I can't look to buy it at 100 today. Right. So a lot of these names, it's when they start to pull back in, like in the first chart we showed the SPY, when we get back into that orange, green, that orange zone, I'll start to look much closer. The green's going to look to buy up, but I can't be looking to buy these names when they're up 20, 30% in 3 days. I just like being trapped in those names. I know those are the price where I'm trying to get out. I don't want to be getting in at those prices.
Right. I think context is so important right now. It's like yeah, I like AXP, but I only like it on a huge sell-off. You know, I don't like
Yeah.
it. So it's like people that came in today ready to buy when we're at SPY 275. When we closed Friday, SPY 248. It's like you got to put everything into context. Like, what do you like? We just made a 10% move. You can't. It's tough to try to make money long at that point. I think you just gotta think to yourself, I missed the move. I should just be hands off right now. Type deal. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get
No,
people to think a little bit more out here.
I definitely agree. I think this is a time where you got to really find the names you really like and you really want to get. And there's no disadvantage or nothing wrong with being patient or being in cash. And I've seen it more now where people are trying to force trades where they have
Right.
to be in something. Where 3 months ago there was never this big rush. People were willing to sit in cash and not even care about it. But now that things are moving so drastically, the more inexperienced people I'm seeing where they're like, I need to buy something right now. And it's like,
Right.
why? Like, what do you want to buy? Like, I don't know. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah,
probably not a good
plan,
idea.
all that. I had to talk so many people out of that. When we were down
Yeah.
Friday, I was getting messages and stuff from people who were just like, I just need to buy something. I'm like, well, what's your plan? Like all this stuff, and it's almost like logical thought kind of went out the window, and people were much more manic about I have to buy something now, I have to trade right now. I don't know. It's just kind of funny to see where it's like this is like a really shitty environment. You should be doing less if you don't know what's going on than trying to catch every move, trying to be the perfect trader, trying to be the beast volatility trader. I'm going to be out here day trading every day. I find there's a lot of opportunity here. But if you're new and you're just losing money, it's just like take your foot off the gas, man. Just sit back and learn. You don't need to do it all right now.
Yeah, and that was something, even when I think back of, last year when we had, a little bit of a tougher market, and then even now, it's just that, you don't have to be in something all the time.
Right.
So you got to be, a little bit more patient.
Right. So for me, exactly, this is the perfect example. It's like I saw the market gap up yesterday and looked to go for a continuation. So I tried to buy that crowd. I got out, and then I bought that go. And I have some decent stock. But then I walked in today like there's no way in fucking hell you could get me to buy anything. I don't want to short up here. It would have been the move, hindsight 2020. But I just looked at the context of it. All right, we're up from 10% from Friday's close in 6 hours of trading, 6.5 hours of trading. There's nothing to do right now. So it's like I had my opportunity yesterday. I took it. And then I saw where we were at today. It was like there's nothing to do. So it's just like feeling the ebbs and flows of it. That obviously comes with time, but there's just not a great rush to do so much right now is all I want to convey.
Yeah, there's, and again, going back to what a lot of those new traders were, it's like you said, like they want to buy something, but they don't know what they want to buy. This is a time where you're doing more research. You should be, you should be scanning the Dow, scanning all the major sectors, scanning the S&P every single day, scan the NASDAQ 100. And this should, regardless of where the market is, that should just be your daily process of going through those names if you do like to trade and invest in the market. And for right now, I can look through, I did even on this chat, I looked through every Dow name, I looked through every S&P, and I'm like stretching for names, which are just saying like, there isn't opportunities right this moment.
Right.
But if I keep repeating this process, I'm going to find opportunities at some point.
Right.
But you just got to it's got to be a consistent process. You can't just, okay, today we're up, I got to buy something. We're down tomorrow, I got to sell something. It's got to be, repetitive process. So with that, I think we can jump into book of the week. Oh no, I'm sorry, top idea of the week.
Top idea, but I have nothing in this range. I was going to try to force it, but in this range, I have nothing. If we get a pullback, maybe I'll look to buy something that comes into support.